Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Purpose Partner Path podcast. As you know, I'm your host, Wendy Gladney, the Purpose Partner. And as always, this is the space where we help people rediscover who they are, become unshakable, and live with strategic grace. Today's conversation is one that touches the heart, the soul, the culture, and community all at the same time. We are talking about the power of the arts to transform lives, the importance of preserving cultural expression, and how faith, freedom, and creativity can come together to inspire generations. This is so exciting. I am honored to welcome an incredible leader, educator, visionary, and arts advocate, Debora Wondercheck, founder of the Arts and Learning Conservatory, also known as ALC. So, you know what we do each week? We go grab our cup of tea so that we can dive in to this very special episode.
Exhale, let go, and enjoy the purpose. Partner.
Deborah has spent so much time, almost close to 2 decades, building opportunities for children and families through arts education across all Southern California. And I won't be surprised when this becomes national. Through her leadership, thousands of young people have gained access to music, theater, dance, and artistic expressions and experiences that build confidence, discipline, creativity, and hope. And today, we're going to also highlight the upcoming fifth annual Gospel Voices of OC benefit concert taking place on Saturday, June 27th, 2026, at the Irvine Barclay Theater, a powerful Juneteenth celebration of freedom, faith, culture, and artistic excellence. Deborah, welcome to the Purpose Partner podcast.
I feel so honored to be here, Wendy. Thank you for having me as a guest on your wonderful show.
Wow, I've been looking forward to this. And the more I learn about you, the more excited I get to just continue to not only learn for myself, but to share. So, with that, Deborah, your story is so inspiring because it's rooted not just in leadership, but in purpose. And that's what I'm all about, purpose. So, before we talk about the concert, I would love for our listeners to learn more about you and what first inspired your love for music and the arts.
What inspired that for me was actually my mom. She's a woman who naturally has a beautiful voice, loves the arts, but when she was a child was pretty much denied the opportunity to even play an instrument. And that was during the Jim Crow era, 1945. Just, a lot of what's going on systemically, but at school, she was denied an opportunity to play an instrument. And what she did with that is she turned pain into purpose. She had decided at the young age of 10, oh, when I'm married and I grow up, I'm gonna have children and all my kids will play a musical instrument. And she meant it. So years later, she got married, had 7 of us children. And when the 7, and when the opportunity came in school for us to play instruments, she highly encouraged it to the point where 6 of the 7 of us all played stringed instruments. We had 2 violinists, 2 violists, a cellist, a bass player. And I had a brother, one of my brothers is intellectually disabled. She made sure he was part of the little orchestra or the ensemble as well. She made him the conductor, also gave him some rhythmic instruments to play so that he knew he was just as important and a key part to the artistic education. So because of her love for the arts, her love for the Lord, and seeing that the gifts of the arts comes from our Creator, she made sure that we had this gift. But she didn't make sure we had the gift. She made sure that she nurtured the gift that the Lord had given us and that we were using this gift to bless others. So she had us performing all kinds of different locations, whether it was at the church, a community center, a senior center, a nursing home. She had us all over the place, making sure that the gift that was in us was being given right back to bless other people, and it was wonderful. So that's my inspiration
Yeah.
for playing. So my main instrument is cello, and I'm also a conductor, orchestral conductor, while also now running this wonderful nonprofit, the Arts and Learning Conservatory. We're trying to make sure that every child has access to the arts. So
Yeah.
that is my inspiration.
You know, it's interesting because when you were talking about, and you said your mom wanted to make sure you each had the gift, and then you retracted and said, no, nurture the gift. And I was going to say that's so important because I come from a musical family as well. Actually, my father played drums, and he was over music, for bands. And I have an uncle who was the music director for a group called the Tavares. And my grandmother made sure we all took lessons. And I took piano lessons for somewhere between 7 and 9 years. And Deborah, I'm still looking for middle C. So
Ah,
I did not get that gift, So then my grandmother started realizing I got to shift this girl because that's not her gift. But your mom, she was able to nurture that gift in each of her children. And so that's absolutely beautiful. What I also love about your story is how access, changed your life because your mom made sure you had access even though she was denied. And sometimes people underestimate how one opportunity, just one, can completely change or alter a child's life and their future. You said that music helped shape the trajectory of your family's life. How did that experience actually make you want to start the Arts and Learning Conservatory?
okay, so there's a couple of parts to that. With the experience that I had, because you're speaking about creating opportunities, she made sure those opportunities are there. But what happened was, as we got so much better at playing our instruments, and she found private teachers and things, but not because she had a lot of money. And that's what I want parents to hear in the story. You
Yes.
do not have to have a bunch of finances to create access for your children. You just need to get out there, look, see what gifts your children have, and we can talk further about that. But go for it. Go get out of your four walls and see what is available. We didn't
Yes.
have the money. We didn't have the money. But
Yes.
with 7 kids, she found a music program or a music school that took all 7 of us. She paid what she could with my dad. They paid what they could, and the music school provided scholarships. But what ended up happening is this. We began getting better and better at our craft of performing, practicing. A cello teacher who was working with my brother at the time, and we were from the Chicago area, he was in the Chicago Symphony, volunteering his time, teaching lessons. Saw a gift in us and my brothers, told my mom, look, if your son really practices and gets good at this, he should be able to get a scholarship to go to college. And when that happened, the bells went off. My mom, who is this beautiful, God-fearing woman, turned into a drill instructor. We began to harder and
Yes.
harder. And the first 2 got their scholarships across the nation to play in an orchestra at a university. And then she was thinking, okay, this third one, he's gonna get a scholarship, and all of y'all, everybody, all going to get a
Right.
scholarship. This is
Right
what
after each other. Yes.
yeah, and she just spoke that into her, you're going to college and you're going to play this instrument and you're going to be successful. And it wasn't a drill, it's militaristic type thing. It was out of love.
Right.
She knew. I mean, we as parents, we see a lot further than what our kids do.
So
So
true.
she saw that and it happened. It happened. So what, the other flip side of what was going on in our home is there was domestic violence happening. And my mom was dealing with a lot, but what was happening, it was starting to trickle down to the kids. So she's like, I gotta get these children out of here. We've gotta go. We've gotta go. But when she saw the scholarships happening and the children, the oldest, not only getting into school, but having housing, having shelter, having food, having, the academics and people to surround them, she as a mom felt they're safe.
Yeah.
The next one safe, third one safe. Now that these 3 are out, I can get these 4 out of here for good, never to return.
Yes.
So literally in one night, we had to escape our home. And she told us, bring those suitcases, Deborah, put that cello on your back. We're leaving. So we escaped on a train from Chicago to Denver. We lived in a women's shelter there for about 4 months. My dad figured out where we were. We had to escape from Denver, moved out to San Diego. We're at the Salvation Army, stayed there for a little bit, and then found another shelter in Oceanside. So it wasn't all roses and, oh, we had finances so we could play. No, we had nothing. We had a little bit of something, and then we went to nothing, moving, being homeless, moving from place to place. But God is faithful. He is
Yes,
so
he is.
faithful,
Yes, he
you
is.
know? So by the time we got to that last shelter, as a 10-year-old traveling, 6, 8 months, being homeless, going from place to place, literally out of fear, I kept thinking that my dad's going to kill my mom. He's going to find her, he's going to kill her. As a 10-year-old, carrying that on you is a lot.
That's a lot.
And I was fearful of pretty much everybody. I didn't want to talk to any adults. I just was really, I guess you would even call it going into a depression.
Yeah.
What was happening. But at the last shelter that we lived at, across the street was a school, but not just any school. It was a performing arts magnet school. So when I went to that school, I had my little instrument, I'm meeting the kids, still very, very reserved because I'm the kid living across the street of the shelter, my whole family in one bedroom in bunk beds. I'm just, the self-esteem is low. But one day I was at the school and my music program happened right after lunch. So during lunch, I'd go to the music room and just sit in the corner and play my instrument. One day I was playing the bass line. The bass line actually was from Billie Jean, pizzicato in that cool bass line. Some kid walks by and he's like, "Are you playing Michael Jackson?" I'm like, "Yes." And he's like, "Hey, everybody, she's
Yeah.
playing Michael Jackson." He's bringing all these kids surrounding me, and he's just like, "Okay, play it again. Can you play Beat It? Can you play this?" And I'm playing these things because this kid is just kind of demanding it,
Yeah.
out of excitement. I'm playing it out of nervousness, not even knowing that gift was there. I had all the classical training now for years, but I didn't know I could just play by ear and just pick all these things up. The kids pulled on that gift.
Yeah.
And they did not see me as the child across the street from the homeless shelter. They saw me as the cool kid who could play all these things, and she's going to teach us how to play this.
Yeah.
And it elevated me to a different level that I didn't even know. They created a voice in me and literally pulled my voice out of me to be more part of that community and to just evolve and just be amongst these kids that I would look at me as shameful or, so that changed my life. And that's all because of what my mom had instilled in us and literally changed the trajectory by stating, music belongs to you. It is yours. It is not for the rich and the well off. It's for us. It's for everyone. Yes.
It's interesting because in listening to your story, like right now, I was thinking about how timeless Michael Jackson is. Because when you just said that, of course, the movie came out a few weeks ago, and it's all about Michael and stuff. But I remember even as a child listening to and loving Michael Jackson, and I didn't have the same situation that you had, but I was abandoned by my birth mother when I was around 3 years old and never met her again until I was grown. And then I experienced sexual abuse by the hands of my father when I was a child. And so I understand how that plays on your self-esteem, just the whole focus of your confidence and the lack thereof, but how your mother found that key for you. My grandmother found a key for me. My first key was the Lord. I mean, she put me in church, and I really did well in terms of just growing and understanding leadership, just by getting involved in church and then accepting the Lord as my Savior. So I really understand that. And one of the things that as I was reading about you is when you were starting the Arts and Learning Conservatory, and maybe even before it was even called that, it started as a summer program. Is that correct?
It started as a summer camp.
Camp?
It started
Yeah.
as, yeah, but I'm gonna tell you right now, Wendy, it wasn't probably going to be anything had it not been for my husband pushing me. So we started as a summer camp, but I had put flyers up and given it to some students. And at the time, I worked in a really well-off school district and had a lot of students. So I shared with them about the camp. The Friday before my camp, I had 3 kids signed up. So I looked at my husband and I'm like, this is just not meant to be. This is not God's timing. I think I need to wait until I'm like 65 and retired, have a name established for myself.
I'm going to be 65 this year, but I'm not retired.
You look good. You look good. So I
Thanks.
kept thinking, when I'm retired, I'll start this program because clearly 3 kids are signed up and this is just not going to happen. He looked at me and he said, if you don't do this now, you're never going to do it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't like being challenged. So I'm like, what you mean? So he's like, you know what? You have all these students, get on the phone and call and tell the parents about it. Because really, you got to do something. Because I was thinking that by faith, you pray and you tell the Lord, bring it to the Lord. And he's just going to bring everybody to you. And you just sit back and that's just how it's going to happen. But we forget that the scripture that says faith happens, but it's not by just words, it's by work as well. You gotta
and faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So sometimes we don't see it. We don't know, we don't see it all at that time.
And I didn't see it. Yeah.
Trust. And also we have to remember where God guides, he will provide. And that's not just money. He'll provide the people, he'll provide the help, he'll provide whatever is needed. But sometimes he's got to see, are we ready?
Exactly.
Are we ready? Are we willing to submit? And so, I'm thankful for your husband who ended up staying with you and making sure that you didn't give up on that. So let me say this. One of the things that we often discuss on this podcast is called crossroads, which are moments in life where people, they're called to something greater. And it looks like this was part of that crossroad for you. And I know you probably had to choose between faith and fear. So how did you get over that fear and really focus on the faith?
I got over that fear again when he challenged me. He saw it. And I just got on that phone and started calling all these parents. I literally called 100 parents and just stated.
Wow, that's a lot. That is absolutely a lot.
It was a lot. And what I noticed by like call number 5, I'm like, oh, these parents are very attentive. When your music teacher calls about your child, you're like, what did they do? What happened to Johnny? So I'm just like, oh, so I had to lead with, after a while, I'm like, oh, this is Mrs. Wondercheck, Cindy's music teacher. Cindy is doing well in my class. Just want you to know. And then I had to go, I've got a summer camp. If she's interested, we'd love to have her. So by the time I got through the 100 calls, it was Sunday night. By Sunday night, I had 21 students signed up for my very first camp.
Well,
and
I know that it absolutely grew from there, but it shows how, your dedication, your commitment, and then, we have to be consistent. And sometimes we have to let others know in their life too, that leadership, which is really what you're doing and what you were doing then, it requires resilience to go with the recognition. A lot of times, like you said, if some of us think, oh, if God called us, or if we really know we like this, we could just sit back and it's going to come, and the recognition. No, it takes work. It takes commitment. It takes resilience. And I know that you've received a lot of honors for your work. Woman of the Year, Woman of Distinction, Arts Advocate recognitions, national awards. But success did not happen overnight for you. I know that. So what has helped you to remain grounded and unshakable in your big vision for Arts and Learning Conservatory?
I would say my faith, number one. My mom, and I don't know if you know this, but she passed away just 2 months ago. But she would always tell me, she's like, don't get a big head. Don't let your head be heavy enough that you can't lift it up. She would always just ground me and make sure you stay in the Word. Make sure you cast your cares on the Lord. Stay focused, pray. So that's the number one grounded thing about me and this organization. And then with every move that I did make, as far as starting the organization, I would pray over it. When it came down to decisions of, Lord, expansion, I want to expand into these districts. How do I do it? He would give me the tools needed. And I would do a lot of research. I'm a researcher. I would work super hard to make sure that when we did start a new program, I had the strategy behind it. And I would study and I would find other people who were doing what I wanted to do and ask questions. So I pray, but I also glean on the wisdom of others. I know that I cannot do everything in and of myself. I need my community. I need people surrounding me. But I always would seek out the wisest people I knew and the most successful. And I would just ask them, would you mentor me, show me how to do this? And that has led to my success. But it's all of that surrounded into one, the prayers, the faith, and then seeking out individuals that have been where I'm already going right now.
Right. It's interesting because when you look at history and look at a lot of the most successful people, some of them were not even successful as an individual with something, but they surrounded themselves with the people that they knew they needed in order to make something happen. And that's pretty much what you're sharing. So you've talked about how faith is so important to you and how it's been like, part of your grounding. Gospel music has always historically been connected to strength, survival, hope, and liberation. So how has faith influenced your leadership in the arts specifically?
It's specifically in the arts. My goodness. Being a cellist, I would, my mom would have me perform and things of that sort. But I realized that as a performer, you have a voice.
Yeah.
And when you're playing, when I would play my instrument, people would feel the emotion of that voice. And I didn't realize as a child the power of that to really move the hearts of individuals, but it
Yeah.
really did. And so, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, yes, you're right. Because music is universal and music touches when even people don't understand the same language, and different things. And your voice or your instrument can have that power.
It has that power, and I realized um, time I was, by the time I was in elementary school working with all these kids, I'm like, whoa, they're really pulling on. I didn't know what they were pulling on, but they heard that voice. So the influence that it's on my leadership, my faith, is again just surrounding myself with individuals who have gone before me. Um, I have a pastor that's a wonderful mentor, pastor's wife, and I would just lift everything that I'm doing. I'm so serious in prayer. When I would go in to teach a class of 30 some kids or an orchestra of 50, I'd pray over that class before I would start. Again, I would study, I would practice, I'd make sure I knew everything that those kids must play, but I would always add prayer to it to make sure, Lord, you know how to speak to these children. You know what they need.
Yes.
The gifts in them are not their own. You gave it to them. You show them how to use that so we can get through this passage, so we can play this piece, so that they can feel what we are doing and not just play a bunch of notes. So my faith is everything with what I'm doing here today. And even when I was teaching and starting this organization, I didn't move without a prayer or asking for a prayer team to cover me and my organization in prayer. You don't get very far if you don't put the Creator, our God, Lord and Savior Jesus Christ first.
Amen.
So I attribute that to my success, to the awards that I've received, to the favor, because we know the scripture that says your gifts will make room for you and even place you before kings.
Yes.
And it's so true when you just take, like you mentioned, the hard work that you're doing and you commit it to the Lord and watch him take it 1,500 times further than what you ever could on your own.
Right. You were talking about how much you study, and I was thinking about the scripture that says, study to show thyself approved, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed. The fact that you studied, you were prepared. And
Yes.
that's one of the things that also, I try to share with people I work with is prepare. Make sure that you're prepared, because when you prepare, you don't have to worry about, imposter syndrome or, lack of confidence or whatever, because you've done your best. And once you've done your best, God will do the rest. And that's what's so important. So, Deborah, I'd like to shift right now and let's now talk about your upcoming benefit concert. I know it's going to be on June 27th, and it's going to be, in Irvine at the Barclay Theater. But, it's not just a concert, it's going to be a celebration. So, tell us how Gospel Voices of OC first began.
It first began 5 years ago because this is our fifth annual. And actually, the planning took place 6 years ago. It took me a year to plan that first concert. And that first concert came about because of what was happening with the civil unrest in our nation back then. We still have it some today, but with the whole George Floyd situation and then the Breonna Taylor and all these different deaths that were happening that were more brought to mainstream. We've known about these things, but when it came to mainstream, I'm like, wow, I already knew about it. But what I also knew as a citizen here in Orange County, as an African American here, I always knew we were 2.8% of the whole population of Orange County. But at that time, when George Floyd, the issues were happening, the Black people here in this county, we were 40% of the hate crimes, but only 2.8% of the people. And it was just disheartening. And I had felt a calling literally that just had, the Lord just speaking to me stating, let's put a concert together that's going to celebrate the brilliance and the excellence of African American people and put that front and stage on center. I call it Gospel Voices of OC because I know, we all know, many of us African Americans, that the church was always at the core of who we were as a people. Even in the times of enslavement, it was a way for us to get away from the watchful eye of the enslaver and just have a place for our own where we could find joy, where we could weep and deal with all the hurt and pain that we're going through, but do it together and then put scripture behind it and believe that something's going to change and have the hope that where they were as enslaved, that it will not be the same for their children and their children's children. So we're living that today, but Gospel Voices is a reminder of that through telling history accurately, telling our story of who we were, where we've come from, where we're going, celebrating the innovators
Yes.
of our time, whether it be Charles Drew, the individual who created the blood banks, whether it be Floyd Norman, our very first Black Disney animator that worked with Walt Disney and the movies that he created. We're celebrating all of that through singing, through acting, through dance, through spoken word, through media. And it all comes to life. It is literally an experience. And so much so that if you're African American, maybe whoever, it's for everybody.
Yes.
But you're gonna walk out of there with your chest out, your head held high, like this is us. This is who we are. And these are the shoulders that we stand on today.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if they could be resilient and deal with all that, we can do that today, and we will take it to the next level. Gospel Voices is an experience you will not want to miss. It's multi-generational. There's something for 4, 5, 9-year-old, all the way up to 80, 90-year-old. You're going to hear things that you might have heard years ago. We bring it all back, and we celebrate. We celebrate who we are.
That's so beautiful. As you were speaking, I was thinking about you found your way to have your voice be heard as it relates to leadership, because it says where much is given, much is required. So for those of us that have an opportunity to put something out there, to be a leader, to share, we got to find what's our lane. And this is your lane. And this is where you're making sure that the voice is heard. And I love the fact that your event is going to honor African American artist masters through choral music, dance, theater, and live performance. And while also celebrating Juneteenth, because a lot of people still have forgotten what Juneteenth really meant. And we can't let that be erased. So I just want to say thank you for making sure that you're bringing that back and that you're making sure that we remember our history and understand the price of freedom. As they
Mm,
say, freedom is not free.
it is
Freedom
not.
was paid for with a cost in everything. So I think what makes this event special is that it is multi-generational, and families, students, educators, community leaders, everyone, and I mean everyone, can come together through the arts. And I thank you for sharing with us what we can expect, what will happen, and just all the collaborations that will be happening. So I want to thank you for that. So one thing people should know is that this event also supports a larger mission. Proceeds will help support ALC's educational programming, community arts initiatives, as well as scholarships. Can you
Mhm.
share, why it is important now more than ever for people, community funders to support what you're doing?
Um, we need to support this because these, again, the proceeds are going directly. Everyone hear this. Every ticket sale, every donation you give goes directly to scholarships. The Arts Learning Conservatory was even created specifically to make sure the arts are accessible and equitable for all children, especially those who are downtrodden, who don't have the resources. So with this production, we are hoping to garner the funding to make sure that the kids who are overlooked, the children who aren't seeing those zip codes no one goes into, my program goes there. And we
Yes.
make sure that it is accessible. And this is all based on the fact that, again, I lived a life of homelessness and didn't have any reason. We didn't even have a vehicle. We didn't even, have a washer and dryer in our home. Having these programs at schools where the children need it most is so needed. And the impact that it's going to have on these kids, it helps kids have higher grades, more absenteeism. It helps children like I did feel a part of a community. And when you're part of a community, you're less likely to get in trouble or be in areas that are going to pull you down or back. You want to be in the area where these arts are because you feel seen and heard. So it's so important that people come out to this production, see it, and then give or find a way to be involved to make a difference in the lives of these children.
Yeah. And I think it is important because when people invest in the arts, they are really investing in young people and building their confidence, their creativity, and becoming future leaders. I mean, that sometimes people don't understand that. And the arts teach discipline. And
It
sometimes discipline has just gone out the door.
does.
It teaches collaboration, it teaches them courage and how to express themselves. And in today's environment or in today's world, they got to know that their voice matters, that they matter. So, Deborah, one of the closing thoughts that I want to ask you is, when you think about your legacy, what do you want it to be when it comes to Arts and Learning Conservatory?
Um, I just hope people say that we saw children before the world did, that we look at young people and others that are overlooked and we say there's something extraordinary in you. We want people to know that we went above and beyond to make sure that children have a place within our conservatory that's going to set them up for success in life. So yeah, I hope people say that we never let excellence become exclusive because the arts, like I said, it's not exclusive. It's
Right.
for everyone. And that we have a legacy of fighting to make sure that these children succeed in the arts and have access. So I want that to be our legacy.
So share with us, how can somebody find you? How do they find the Arts and Learning Conservatory?
So if they go online, our website is arts, the word and, learning.org. And if you go online, you can click to give, you can click to have your child even be involved with our classes. If you're wanting to volunteer, maybe you're someone with a background as a lawyer or HR person, you're like, hey, I just want to help with some resources. We're open to all of this.
Yes,
I
yes,
really need it. I don't know if most people know this, but um, we're in about 50 schools right now with these programs and still expanding. Yes. So
yeah.
we have about 60 teaching artists, and HR, law, and knowing what to do, what not to do is so important. And
Yes.
you're an organization that goes by the book and make sure that we're doing things right. Help and resources in any of those areas, like going to our website, is huge for us to make that legacy continue.
Well, what we're going to do is at the end, we're going to make sure that we put up your website so people will have it. We'll also have this up also as part of the the show so that people can see this as well, because not only are you in 50 schools, but you have a beautiful theater in the city of Costa Mesa, and we want to make sure that people also are knowing about that, and to our listeners across Southern California, so that they can figure out how to support you and come down and see it, because they may see something that I know when I went to see it, I was like, oh my gosh, we got to let people know about this and make sure people know that it's available to the community. They can rent it. And that also supports you by them renting it. So that's just fabulous. And I just want to remind everyone once again that their 5th annual Gospel Voices of OC benefit concert will be on Saturday, June 27th at 7 p.m. at the Irvine Barclay Theater. And it's going to so uplifting. I can't wait. I can't wait. And I know she's going to have some surprises that we can't quite talk about yet because we're trying to, see what can happen. But it's going to be a beautiful evening. And so I just want to encourage everyone to remember, music and entertainment, it heals us, it connects us, and it also helps us to even rediscover who we are. So Deborah, thank you again for being my guest today. And we just know your event's going to be fabulous, but everything that you put your hands to, we just pray that God will bless you. And until next time, everyone, I'm Wendy Gladney, the Purpose Partner. And please go over to my website at wendygladney.com, where you can learn more about how as the Purpose Partner, I can help you, and my new handbook. So until next time, God bless. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Exhale, let go, and enjoy the purpose. Partner.